If you've never heard of photobiomodulation, you're not alone, but there is a place in the Lowcountry that offers this science fiction sounding treatment. As we prepare for our summer bodies, we'd like to welcome the owners of Charleston REDbed, Jeremiah and Tiffany Jimerson. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Photobiomodulation, what is this?
So photobiomodulation is basically using specific wavelengths of light to basically help heal up the body.
What's the science behind it exactly?
The science behind it is all cells in our body have these like nuclear power plants, so that's how it gets its energy. And those are called the mitochondria. So basically the wavelengths that we use actually rev those areas up. And as we get old or as there's disease processes, those nuclear power plants just don't produce as much energy. And so as the cell doesn't produce as much energy, then eventually the organ, isn't going to get the same oomph.
Now, I've heard of chromotherapy. Is chromotherapy something totally different?
It's a little bit different. These are very specific wavelengths that we're using for this stuff.
I see. Okay.
Is kind of like a color therapy, and that is more on mood and stuff. And this is a little bit different, but kind of a bit more science behind it.
Okay. Now, you created what is called the REDbed. So you designed this yourself?
I designed this myself, yes.
Are you an engineer? Like, how did you do that?
So we were one of the first facilities in the U.S. to have whole body cryotherapy. And so the place that we had imported our cryotherapy from had said, hey, have you heard of whole body photobiomodulation? So, as a soft tissue specialist, as a chiropractor, a lot of people use lasers to basically heal up injuries. And I was like, you're kidding me. I'm like, they have like these as whole body. And but it really got me intrigued. And so I started researching and studying and had found a particular study out of Harvard, MIT, where they, it's going to sound interesting, but they reversed the proteins associated with Alzheimer's by pulsing a specific frequency of light. And so they used 40 hertz. And then I kind of had this idea that if you kind of combined a 40 hertz sound and a 40 hertz light, that you would get an even better result. And sure enough, last year, Harvard MIT did the exact same experiment, and they found combining the sound plus the light had the same result. So I had found some engineers to basically build me this bed that would actually flash whatever frequency, whatever pulsing light that we wanted in there. And we could play the accompanying sound.
That's so interesting. Okay, so Tiffany, I think a lot of people, if they watch TV, they see there are hats or helmets with these lights. I personally have a device that I use on my skin that it sounds like it has the same kind of technology. Maybe you can talk a bit about the aesthetic benefits of using biomodulation.
Yeah, so when you see these at-home type products, they are very similar, but they just don't have the same oomph behind them as a industrial size bed. So this is a greater application, total body, as opposed to spot treatments that we do at home with handheld devices. So this is an all-in-one type treatment, so that way you can affect all areas equally.
So what is the effect that you get from using it? Because personally, as we kind of spoke before we got started here, health schmealth, I just want to look good. So
right. How do I stop that clock? How do I reverse that clock? So skin has a really great reaction in the REDbed, where it helps boost collagen, elasticity in the skin that kind of degenerates over time. So when you hit those 40s, the perky, blushy skin that you had just isn't the same. It's a little more dull, and so it really reacts very well in the REDbed. The spectrums that we use initializes the collagen to start reproducing on its own.
Very interesting. Of course, Jeremiah, I make fun, but in all seriousness, it is very good for your health. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the physical benefits besides the collagen production that this can have. And you had mentioned something before you answer that question about 40 hertz. So, we're talking about just a normal light that we have in our home. How does that differ?
Well, interestingly, you could use a normal light at home that pulsed at 40 hertz. If you could get like a pulse modulator to get it to shoot at that wavelength, you could get a lot of those same benefits. But that was the limitation of the study is and we geek out a lot about lighting and stuff, is that normal LED lights, the stuff that we have in our houses and our cell phones, etc., there is such a high peak blue spectrum, so it's the opposite color that we're using, that actually ages skin, and that actually damages the eye, and that actually kind of kills off some of those power plants.
Interesting. And blue light, often you get that from computer screens, TV screens, things like that.
Everything, everything is loaded up in blue light, and that's basically accelerating the aging of the eyes, the skin, everything.
Doing the exact opposite that you want it to do. Well, that's terrific. And also in inclusion to that, you said that you do have cryotherapy as well, but that's kind of on hold due to COVID. Do you know when you're going to reopen that service?
We're working to do that, but the red light therapy is kind of the new age of health and regeneration. So we're kind of segueing out of cryotherapy and jumping onto the new, light wave.
So for people getting their summer bodies ready, they should do this REDbed, and it'll kind of help just sort of get things back into.
Yeah, it helps skin and tighten skin. People that use the REDbed on a regular basis remark on how much of their skin feels a lot tighter and a lot firmer. So it's really good for those, when you're looking to just get those added effects from your other weight loss endeavors.
I'm sold. I want to thank you both so much for joining us. It's so interesting. So much science that goes into it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both, Jeremiah and Tiffany. We'll be back after this.